Alright, so today we are replacing this leaf spring because it decided to break on me. And I never saw it broke. I just moved the other day, so I don't know. I guess it was cracked for a while. Maybe it'll show us what it looks like when we get it off. I don't know if you can see in there, but it moved quite a bit. The back anyway. Got our airbag had a nice little lean, but anyway, that's the job today. Would love to get in there and weld that where it's leaking, but that's probably not going to happen today. So anyway, probably going to take the wheels off. Don't know if I should or shouldn't. I mean, it might be easier with them on, but at the same time it might be easier with them off. So anyway. Seriously. We're getting bigger. Alright, so scratch anything I've ever told you. I tried so hard to get them bolts off, and I succeeded. However, the U-bolt is froze up in this, and I've tried to, you know, hit it with that. Not really enough room to swing, and I've had these off before. I think every time I've cut them off with a cutting torch or cutting wheel, whichever your flavor. So that's what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to drive the nuts back on. That was a waste of my time. And that should pull them down through or spin them once you get these cut, so it loosens them up. Make sure you don't cut them up here, because this is not going to go through the hole. So, not sure if I'm going to cut them with a cutting torch, or I almost think I can get a cutting wheel in there, but no, I might just get my torch out. But anyway, going to cut them off, pull them through with the nuts. And that was just a waste of time, but no, you ain't got to waste your time. Alright, I'm here to report some kind of success. That is down now. You can cut these off with a grinder. I did get into the axle housing just a little bit, but you know, it ain't bad. Anyway, that was before I de-OSHA'd my grinder. Would have done a little better without it to start with, but anyway, got them off. Now, we'll see if the impact will pull those through. Oh, I've overheated that again. Why not? So there was no way those were coming out on the truck. So yeah, it's off now, thankfully. But I think that's about all I'm going to do for today, because keep running out of Milwaukee batteries, air compressor won't run. All I like is taking the rest of that bushing apart, and maybe that bottom bolt on the bottom of that hanger, and the U-bolts, that little U-bolt. Then I can drop the spring down, but pretty much got everything off. But the whole universe is fighting me today, so I believe I'm going to call that a win for today. This turned into a slightly different project. Started out replacing leaf spring. Decided I'd seize the moment and weld the back side of the axle housing, which turned into a little bit underneath. And then it was cracked, well, not cracked, but it was leaking underneath this spring perch. And then when I got that sealed up, it was actually cracked right up there. It was cracked down there. So, as I mentioned before, I should have just took the axle housing off. That'd have been a lot easier, I guess. Oh, I could have done a better job welding it. Anyway. So I ended up beating the spring out. I wasn't really recording, but anyways, you gotta get these out, which I recently did these, so I had anti-seize in it and the bolt come out good, but it won't come out of the bushing. So I just take a MAP gas torch and torch the inside of this thing until it's hot, and then it'll melt the bushing. I mean rubber, these are Atro bushings, either way, until they're hot, and you can beat that out. So they've been in there about 2 years, and they actually look pretty good. Kind of sucks I had to destroy it and can't reuse it, but got to get this spring eye off of here and then work on wiggling the spring in there. Probably gonna have to figure out how to raise that up, but anyway, I'm gonna work on that. I would suggest, if you do this, when you're out getting parts, make sure these bolts will come loose. I'm not sure if you could burn them out and save the threads, but they screw in this way, and they rust in there. So I wasn't so much worried about this one. I did loosen these up, make sure when I went to Peterbilt that they'd come out. I did get new bolts, but just make sure if you got to do this that you can get this off. Otherwise, you're gonna have a bad day when you break the bolts off in it. So just a little tip. I think I can torch, I can cut these off and probably torch that one out if I had to, but those not so much. Alright, so I knocked the crap out of it, but I can't get the bolt to come freely and it won't spin yet, but that's what we're working with right now. Should be in business now. So I got that all apart. Probably gonna wait for it to cool down because it's a little hot. I used to think torches didn't do a whole lot because I was using them just a blue propane. Everybody'd be like, oh, heat stuff up to get loose, heat stuff up to get loose. I'm like, yeah, it don't ever work for me. But those map gas torches, they'll get something hot. I mean, you don't want to hold this thing long. But still, those threads are still good. And I got that bolt out. Should have a new bolt for that too. But anyway, there it is. Sometimes these crack too, so I had another truck. I guess the bushings got so bad from the previous owner. When I went to go and do them, this was cracked. So, there's something to look at. But see, like inside that one is all wore out. Doesn't have as big a lip as it does at the top from the bushing going bad. Alright, so I got the leaf spring sitting in there. I got that raised up with a bottle jack. Should be able to just slide it over and work on maybe putting the bushing in first before I bolt it in place. I'm sure this axle needs moved because I'd move the whole truck to get over here, so I'm gonna mess with that. Well, it sat down in there easier than I thought. I guess the hard part's getting the spring to, set through here to start with, but got a good gap there to work with. And I don't know, it's off a little bit. Anyway, I don't know if it's true or not. I've read on the internet that what cracks these housings is the U-bolts being loose, and I do know the back one did come off. The bolts come, at least the front one come loose pretty easy, but it's shiny. And it was shiny, real shiny on the axle housing on this side as well, so obviously it's been moving. So yeah, I don't know, maybe it's a myth, maybe it's true, but there's that. What do you think, Maggie? So that's the new Audiio bushing. Pretty sure last time I just put anti-seize on everything. I know I did the bolt and that. I might have even done it on the bushing because they ain't going in easy. So probably gonna put anti-seize on them, the bolt, and work on getting that worked in there. I just buzzed those on with the 3/4 gun. Had somebody tell me one time you didn't have to use a torque wrench, but you torque them to, the internet says 550 to 600. I just go to 600. And last time I put them on with a 3/4 gun, they still moved with a torque wrench, so that's how I do it. That 600 foot-pounds will make a man out of you, I'll tell you. Alright, so there it is. Got new leaf spring put on. Got my shocks and everything put back on. Drum put back on. I had to take the drum off so I could use a torque wrench while I was hitting it. Obviously I had to take the wheel off. I wasn't sure if I had to, but yeah, kind of would make no sense to leave it on. But anyway, I torqued those to 600 foot-pounds. And I just pretty much used impact on everything else, but these must stretch a lot when you're torquing them, because I put them on with a 3/4 gun and it stopped, but I still probably turned the nuts another turn and a half or so each, if not 2 turns each when I was torquing it. So anyway, I would do that. I read that they get loose and that's why the axle cracks. So most people want to just throw impact on them and call them good, but they're probably not tight from the start. So anyway, that's how I did it. Probably not the right way or the best way, but anyways, worked for me.